All right, we're going to spend a little time looking at how to set up basic authentication in Apache. We've installed in Ubuntu, and so I've kind of got my Ubuntu cooking, and I am logged in using my administrator mojo. Remember, when we set up a T-user account, you don't want to be in as T-user. You want to be in as your strong thing. And if you remember where we were, we had gotten as far as when we contact the web server, okay, localhost, from within the VM, what happens is, we've got a default page coming up that we created. All right, so how do we do basic authentication? The first thing is we want to create a site, really kind of think of a folder within here that has a basic page, and then we'll put some mojo on that doesn't let anybody get to it. So that the first trick then is to, let's get this terminal window moved up a little bit, is, and part of this, if you do what I do, you'll be fine, and you might say, well, this is how system admin works, but getting used to how it all links together is really the goal. So I'm going to do a cd var www.html, so idea 1, and I'm going to do a ls-f. -f says for show even hidden files. You might not have a .htaccess there, and don't worry if you don't. It's something I was fiddling with, but .f says show these hidden files, and hidden files begin dot. Dot means parent, dot means this folder, but the .htaccess is something that we're just going to do. Okay, great, so that is, but we need to make a folder be a site within this folder. So that is, and we're going to need sudo in front, I believe, doesn't hurt. And then it's going to make sure, and so now I have this BA site that's within there. That means once I put something in there, you'll go to localhost / BA site to get what there is going on. I'll just go ahead and position myself in there. And now we have to make a page, right? So, and it's going to be HTML. So I'm just doing that second thing. Was it Control Y? I forget the thing that did this, so the colors, but I'm not too worried about it. And you can kind of see what it is. The colors go because they look like tags. The easiest thing is, so the body of this HTML, this is Schultz's Ubuntu, I can really say, whatever, site page with basic authentication. Something that just, okay, it's a page, and then we're done with the body, and we are done with the HTML. And of course we realize that HTML, and if I do Control X, we got to bring that up. Save modified buffer with changes, yes, and it's going to write that BA page. So now if I look at here, I've got BA page in here, and so now if I go to BA site, this is localhost, I'm in the VM using this, okay, not a lot of drama there, but what we did was see how to get this page. But this page is, not challenging for a login or anything coming in, so we got a little bit more work to do to then set up basic authentication. So we're through here. The way it works in Ubuntu is you don't authorize users in the system for basic authentication. That's the Windows metaphor. You just set up another file that has the users in it. So this basically, we're going to use this command htpassword, put a sudo in front of it. So sudo htpasswd, and we'll just kind of be sure we get it right. see that while I was working on this. So -C, and what this does is say is create a user called BA user and put it, that user file in etc/users. And exactly where you put your users is a little arbitrary, but that's kind of the default or standard, right? So etc is just from the root is a folder, just to keep system level stuff, and so now this is going to be the password for BA user. You can make it that. I'm making it capital PASS at word 1, not because it's a good security thing, but it's easy for me to remember. Sorry for all that connection established and not keep coming on. I'm GRU secure, and it kind of keeps losing it and gaining it back and on like that. All right, so that created a user account that we can set up, but we now got to glue that user to a particular page. And so the way that we're going to do that is to make an .htaccess file in the BA site folder. So .htaccess kind of says here are some settings for that, and what it's going to do is say, gosh, if you land on anything in this folder, go look in this particular file, and require that they be a valid user using basic authentication. And basic authentication, as we'll see, just it pops up and asks then for that login that we just created. Or if we added others in there, we can make a list of people who are authorized to access this particular page. So I hope this will all work. If not, I can do it the old-fashioned way. So that's just then Apache bubblegum and string, but it's got to go in the .htaccess file. So you got to be in your BA site, sudo ht sudo nano. Yeah, I didn't think that would paste in any way. I was hoping Control V, uncut text. Yeah. All right, unfortunately, I don't know that it's unfortunate, but we will just have to type it in, not the end of the world, just getting there. And so in this htaccess that's in HT, or the htaccess that's in BA site, we are saying that the auth user file to use is in etc users. There's probably a way to concatenate files and say, oh, use it here, use it there. I don't know that this string, that the name is, it might be a required field, but it's kind of reminding us what goes on and probably comes up on the title, but what is required is that we're doing basic authentication, and what we require of that is that user validate. Okay, and so good. So that is a modified buffer. Just leave it there. Now remember, if you do ls, you don't see it, but ls-f shows you that hidden file. Now there's one other thing we have to set in Ubuntu that says pay attention to the .htaccess files. As a default, when Apache, Ubuntu is the operating system, Apache is the web server. As a default, Apache doesn't pay attention to those. So where we find that little bit of glue is in this particular file, where it says we change it to do this. Okay, and there's no this basically says look at that HT access and apply it. And we can do that from here, whoops, but not from there, but from here, click back in. And so what we want to do is sudo nano and etc Apache, oops, lowercase, Apache 2, Apache 2.conf. All right, so that just got me in that file. It kind of leaked off, and we got there. And so it's kind of a long file. Let's see, there is probably a place where we can find where is Control W? So I'm going to do Control W, and now it's saying search for, and what we want to find is directory. All right, and so, but that's not directory var www. So I'm going to do that. Found the next one, or we could actually, when we do Control W, all right, so we are at that section, and so this is saying, okay, here is what we want to apply to this particular folder, which we understand is our www folder. And let me just, I don't know that we have to take off the multi-views, but the instructions say, yeah, so to make it look like that. I don't think that's an important one. Allow override, though, that needs to be changed to all. We need to allow override all order. Make sure you get the casing right here in Linux. Deny and allow from all. And so, and if we were going to dive deeper in web development, we might look closer at the various options that that we could set and what we are doing. But it's basically saying, so for that folder, allow the HT access files to be accessed. I think that one too. Forgotten how. Maybe go ahead and now what happens, and this happens even before they got to this page. I just happened to be here, and so this is this is now we have basic authentication. And so if I go be a user and would you like, never remember. Now it got here. So the idea is, let me kind of close this off, open up a fresh browser, and now you need some Mojo, some basic authentication to get to that site. So even if I think I'm already authenticated, that's the thing, but kind of refresh and it will do this. Or if what happens is once you're authenticated, the site kind of remembers, so this refresh is what it took it to come back. But and so when I ask you for a screen cap of this, and then when it finally lands on the landing page, right, so if I cancel and don't provide, it kind of comes and says, don't let me in. I'm going to try this just once more, because it should ask me for the authentication, I would think, before I get to see it. But oh, interesting. Yeah, but now we are. And we could, what happened was I say it's going to ask before I am allowed in, be a user, and whatever password you set up. Word 1, and okay. And now you get this. So what I want to see is both that challenge and then maybe that you made it, right? And so a lot of bubblegum and string, but some takeaways that you ought to do is remembering that getting things in the right files and folders is critical to system administration, especially like on a web server or even a database server. And so you ought to realize that what we put at www.html is our HTML. By making a BA site, we did it. We can create a folder. In fact, if we now go over to, I'm just going to get back in terminal. This is more showing you what's going on. If I cd over to etc, that would be there. All right. So it was really a right. So what I did was say, show me there's a user's file in there. And so there's this BA user that's now in that file. And there's a kind of an encrypted version of that login string and some other stuff. So that little file was created or could be appended to and done from there. We know that in Linux, dot in front means it's a hidden file. And this particular hidden file in here says turn on basic authentication. And this Mojo, and I think I might have turned off the default page by doing it, but that's okay. But what this says is pay attention to those HT accesses that are here. So when it all comes together and we try to go in, we get that basic authentication. All right. So the steps are, you could just do them and not be bringing it together. And that's maybe okay, but it ought to be starting to say, okay, I can see how this all comes together. My job as system admin was to provide that resource, and well, great. So that's kind of the lesson, and I'll shut up now. Bye-bye.